Hi, and so welcome to my third Haunted America video for March, and that covers the Crescent Hotel in Eureka Springs, Arkansas. And there are a few resident ghost stories, even a cat ghost, so we'll dive into the history of the Crescent Hotel. So the hotel actually was three different things. It started as a hotel, then it went to a college for women, and then it went to kind of a hospital. I'll let you know what kind of means once we get into it. And now it's back at a hotel. So almost immediately when it was starting to be built, that's when it received its first resident ghost. And that ended up making one of the hotel rooms very, very popular. There's two that a lot of people like to stay in, if possible. One is 218, the other one is 419, because they have their own ghosts attached to it. And I will start with the story of Michael. He was helping build the Crescent Hotel. He was up at the top, probably lost his footing, unless this is really brutal and it ended up being a murder, but there was no record of anything like that, so I'm sure he probably just lost his footing and he fell down to the second floor, which ended up being, as it stands today, room 218. They have a picture of him in the hotel room. This is the one that you can see. It's in a nice, pretty frame, and it's up on the wall, so everyone can hang out with Michael and know what he looks like. And a lot of people do experience things in that room. With all the research I've done, I've come to learn that if you ask him to do things, he'll actually do them. If you ask him to close a door, he'll close a door. He's kind of the playful type. It seems like he takes more to women than men. He'll tap on their shoulder. So things like that. He just lets you know that he's there. That is still his room. So after a few years, they were struggling to stay open. They weren't as popular as they hoped, and they had to close their doors. A few years later, they reopened, but it wasn't a hotel at all. It reopened as a women's college. And that lasted for a while, a few years, like the hotel originally did. But it eventually shut down too. But not before another tragic accident happened. Or was it an accident? There was a student that fell out a window. Only this time, she did reach the ground. She didn't survive either. Now, there are no real reports on a student, but there has been lots of reports of female ghosts, so maybe she is still lingering around with Michael. So, after the school closed, a man named Norman Baker, who I really had to struggle with to say his name because I really wanted to say Norman Bates, but that's not his name. But it's Baker. But Norman Baker made it a hospital. He claimed that he can cure cancer. That claim was enough for people to send their loved ones there that were struggling with cancer, that were near the end. It was their last hope. They sent them all to Norman Baker, which honestly, I don't blame them for. If I had a loved one that was at the very end stages of cancer and this guy seemed like my last hope, I would probably send them there too. Wouldn't you? Well, turns out he wasn't as great as he seemed. What he injected them with wasn't anything at all. It was just a lot of random ingredients, nothing to do with medicine. He pretended like he was a doctor when he really wasn't. And so he had now a hospital full of patients that were dying of cancer on their very last hope. And so you would wonder what happened to these people. And wouldn't they be seeing the other patients that weren't being cured? You would think so, but he thought ahead. He had a morgue area. Near the morgue was another area, which was soundproof. And so he would lock up all those patients that were struggling with it, that were just miserable with all sorts of pain. And so the people that did still have hope had no idea that they were screaming in agony. They thought that they were just hanging out somewhere, happy as can be. They thought they were the ones that were cured, or even maybe sent home. While all this was going on, I think for years, the family members were writing to him, wondering about what happened. And he would always say, "Oh, we're almost there, but we just need a little bit more. But I just need a little bit more money to be able to get there completely." He was lying to everyone. And because the family were so desperate to help their loved ones or friends, they would send the money. That is where the second resident ghost comes in. The second most popular room, room 419. Theodora is her name. For the most part, we think she was a nurse there. There's also a question of if she ended up being a patient as well, if she ended up being diagnosed with cancer, which is also a possibility. But she, like Michael, loves to let people know when she's there. She will do more obvious things than Michael. She'll kind of tidy up. Sometimes guests will check in. They'll leave their bags open, kind of throwing everything around. They'll leave their room for a while and they come back and everything's in the drawers, everything's in their nice, neat spot. And there's been reports of people feeling someone touching them as they're laying in bed. That also makes people believe that maybe she was a nurse, kind of checking on her patients, trying to give them comfort. But then she'll also let you know if she doesn't want you in her room. If she may not like you, and her way of telling you will be she will take your luggage and put it next to the door like she's trying to tell you it's time to leave. So 218 and 419 are always occupied, even if it's not by humans. He ended up being caught in the end, but it wasn't for what you think. It wasn't for basically killing people, letting them suffer of cancer with their last final hope. It was mail fraud. It was when he was asking for money from all the families. That's what he was caught with. That's what he did time for about 3 years. And then he was released. And he obviously didn't go back to the Crescent Hotel. That shut down. So he did pass away a few years later. And it's almost the perfect karma for what he passed away of. Cancer. I don't know why that makes me so happy to find out. But that's just so perfect. After that, a few different people owned it, but they didn't really do anything with it. They let it go, sold it to someone else, until it finally fell into the right hands. A couple bought it, restored it to be a hotel, and it is now what it stands today. It's operational. It's a nice, quiet place that also seems to have some ghost tours. They had a cat for a long time, Morris, who now has his own little plaque on the wall that has a picture of him, and he was there from 1973 to 1994. He was always in and out, but his overall home was there. And he is there as well. They have a little gravestone for him near one of the entrances, which I believe is in the back. So you can pay your respects to Morris, and he may come and visit you and thank you for it. So that is the Crescent Hotel. If you're ever in Eureka Springs, it sounds like a really fun hotel to go visit. Of course, it's nice, it's beautiful, and if you don't mind sharing your room with anyone, try getting 218 or 419. They're used to sharing their room, but they'll just let you know when they're there. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. This one was a lot of fun. I've heard about Norman Baker before, but to know that this is the hotel that it happened in, that just got me so excited to dive into this. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I'll see you again soon, and until then, stay strange, stay spooky. Bye!